Hey guys, me again, back with another video. Today I have a lot to get through today. I have got 7 products from SloMo, so I'm going to be going through a massive install. But these are going to be these vinyl protection covers, and initially in my first video I did the 4 areas around the vault, and now I have every single piece. So we've got all this black plastic trim, front bumper, rear bumper, everywhere, as well as an interior wall of the vault. In the corners, I've got pretty much everything. So I'll be going through a realistic carbon fiber looking pillar cover. So we got the rocker panels, the fender flares, the rear bumper, the front bumper, and the bed inner sidewall. So this is going to take me a while. I will film as much as I can, but in the interest of time, I need to get this done before it rises another 20 degrees here in the Bay Area. But I've got the truck up in extract mode to help get things a little more closer to eye level. Got my little stool so I can sit on that. But first things first, I'll need to prepare. So they recommend 70% isopropyl alcohol. I got some blades. I'll have to start cutting the vinyl off of its sheets, and I think I'll do that first. Then I have to go and prep each area. I think I'll do each area one at a time, and in certain areas I'm going to have to pop these third-party mud guards off, so that'll be easy. Just pop those out so they aren't interfering when I need to get to the bumper area. Should be an easy install. This tailgate area was definitely one of the longer of pieces. All these others are going to be separated into smaller and hopefully more digestible little chunks. Looks like the bottom running board area is pretty long, but again, I think they separate that into a couple chunks. But I'm gonna have to watch each little install video of SloMo's before I start each section. So yeah, follow along and watch this video if you'd like to see how that install process goes. I'm not going to fill the whole entire thing in one go, since that would take probably hours. But I'll probably, check in from time to time like I did in the first video and show you, how each section looks after I've figured it out, and perhaps any issues I may have encountered along the way, stuff like that. So I will check in with you, and first I need to prep open one of these, figure out what's what, and take it from there. But maybe I'll start small and try and do the fender flares, since those seem to have the smaller of the pieces. So I gotta find that box, get it prepped, and I guess I'll check in with you once that's ready to go. All right, before I show you how this looks all cut up, I figured I should tell you what's going on. So each of these kits come in several pieces. They've shown you what they've got here. You need to find these, and then they have a diagram showing you which letter goes where. So when you cut these out, you need to make sure that each letter stays with its corresponding piece, or you're going to really lose track of what is what, and it's going to get confusing. As I was cutting this with a box cutter, I realized A, I might be damaging the pieces underneath, and B, I could damage the plastic of the truck. So I'm gonna grab some scissors. That'll be much safer, hopefully a little more accurate, because you do have to slice through in between each piece and then include each letter. So I'd recommend get scissors, less risk to damaging something on accident. So be right back, I need my scissors. Alrighty, everything was trimmed. This scissor method, far greater than using a blade. So now I'm going to do the side that I've got here in the shade. So that's going to be the driver's side. So I need DCBA IJK LNM NO. Now I have to find them in this mess. All right, I'm gonna prep with alcohol the fenders. Just gonna wipe them down with some 70%. Do not use anything stronger. You could melt your ABS plastic of your fenders. Yeah, check in a bit. Alrighty, I'm back. I have figured out what's what. I'm gonna start with the rear, even though they say to start with the front, but it does just go in alphabetical order is what they want you to do. But I wanted to show you the rear first, since that had a little bit of a tip. Well, I already told you put it in extract mode. I also put it in car wash mode, because if you tap on this, the charge port will just keep opening and closing, and you don't want that to happen when you start to apply the vinyl to this area. So I made sure to put it in car wash mode. I'm going to show you piece I, and just so you can get an idea. I made sure to go through this twice with the isopropyl. You really don't want any oils and grease and whatever you may have had on your tire shine, whatever, flicking up on here. You don't want that residual stuff to inhibit the adhering of this vinyl. So make sure you thoroughly clean, especially around the fenders. So I'm going to start with piece I, and let's see how this goes. I'm a little worried about this teeny tiny little area in here. In fact, let me get comfortable, because that's going to be a little tricky to get into. So I'm trying not to look through my camera as well, because that does, I feel like, make me a little more clumsy. Alright, and let me make sure you can see as well though. Cool. And they want you to leave 1/8 of an inch around each edge to prevent it from coming up. You kind of have to estimate that. Hey, that looks pretty good to me. Push that in. Not too bad. And then in theory, everything should line up perfectly. Yeah, that's pretty good. Maintaining that 1/8 of an inch gap. Just kind of working it. Where's my bottom edge? You can peel this up a bit. Well, it will come up. It's just, you kind of want to tack it into place certain areas, and then kind of commit and flatten it all out. I'm looking at this and debating if this is too much. Maybe I should have, no, that looks fine, I guess. You don't want it too close to the edge, or things are going to start getting underneath it. It's so hard to estimate 1/8 of an inch, though. You kind of have to commit on this first piece, because everything else will be lining up with it as well. I don't really like that gap. So let me show you. We're going to peel it up nice and slow. I'm going to be careful around the thinner areas that could tear potentially if you're too aggressive. But let me just try this again. Curious if I can get a little bit better, split the difference. Let me start maybe in the middle this time. Oh yeah, that's really hard to estimate. It is better to just do it from the other side. That I feel like is is as close as I want to get, right? There would be great. And then I'll follow this top edge, making sure it looks about the same. Scooch over so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just kind of flapping this edge over, because I feel like people are going to see from this point onwards. They're not going to be looking from, you know, the side necessarily. I'd rather the kind of exposed edge on the inner wall of the wheel well is going to be more of a focal point. Peel this up. Well, I'll tell you, it's definitely harder to start from this side versus down here in the bottom. So much so that I think I just need to start from the bottom and take into account that I want it to be scooched over just a bit. So that's what I'll do. I think the first time I started it, it was like about that much. It wasn't very far. I'm going to scooch it out a wee bit more so that by the time I flap it over, there won't be as much of a gap, hopefully, closer to the wheel well. I think I can get a wee bit more if I stretch, just a wee bit there. Okay. That looks a bit better because I'm following, like, zoom in actually. I'm following sort of a highlighting point of this plastic, and it kind of blends in a bit more. I like that better. Subtle, but I can notice. Oh, see, this line is not. See, this is. Ugh, you guys are gonna. Don't feel too intimidated on this. Let me tell you that. You can get this done. It will look good. I just have, I'd say, a keener eye than average. Kind of my background has trained me to have a high attention to detail. And sometimes it's really just makes things take longer than needed. Okay. Is everybody happy down here? I think so. Yeah, I like that edge better. I don't really care, like, if this inner area isn't perfect. Again, I want this side to look great. That looks good to me. I think I'll come through with the squeegee later, since it might be a little easier to just. I don't see any bubbles, but if there are any, I'll iron them out at the very end. This went on easy, no bubbles. Alrighty, time to go on to the next piece. If this was I think the next one was J. So I think I will just check in with you once this whole thing is done, because this is taking way too long as it is, so I'm sorry for the long video, but see you in a bit. Alright, rear fender flare is finished. Here's the final look on that one. Looks great to me. It's all the way down. I matched these up as best it could. This charge port took me several tries because I wanted to get it even on both sides, and it took a little bit of lifting and repositioning on each side, kind of splitting the difference back and forth. But that's how how close I got for that one. Totally acceptable for me. Again, I think they want you to go a wee bit closer towards this inner edge, but I've opted to move that sort of on this exterior edge, since in my opinion you can't really notice that little gap, but I'd rather have a higher gap up here than an even gap on both sides. But per their instructions, 1/8 of an inch is what you're supposed to do, so follow their instructions. This is just what I'm doing. All right, moving on to the front driver's side fender flare. See you in a bit. Alrighty, I have finished all of the fender flares. Took me about 2 hours. That's including filming for you guys. But here's a quick tour. One thing to note, the front side seemed to be mirrored on their diagram. So the diagram was incorrect. I basically just needed to flip. They had, I think, A through D on one side for the drivers, but it needed to be on the passenger side. So I told the company, hey, your diagram is incorrect. This should be flipped. But it's pretty common sense. Once you start to put this thing together, you realize this is not going to fit. So hopefully they can correct that diagram and make the pattern match the side. I do need to go through some of these. See if we can get in close. Some of these, and just make sure these edges are nice and, butt up against each other. But overall, very easy. Just took a little prep work, taking off the where they're up there, the front mud flaps. Super easy. I have to take off the rear mud flaps once I do the bumpers, but overall not too bad. Now I'm going to move on to the side rocker panels. These things are huge. They're very long, probably longer than the vault. But yeah, I've already prepped them. They're ready to be applied. I'm going to watch their video on this one since it's so long. I'm sure there's a trick to manage this. I think you just work your way a foot at a time is probably what to do. But I'll watch their video for instructions just in case there's some super tip I don't know about. But yeah, I moved the truck around because you do want to do this in a shaded area. So after I'm done filming, I'm going to move these into the shade because it's already getting very toasty in the sunlight, and this starts to get more elastic once it's warm. And you don't want to warm it until it has been applied so that you can kind of iron out the wrinkles. So you don't want to apply this while it is still, pliable from the heat. It's you can almost see it. It gets very loose and noodly. So throw these in the shade, let them cool down, and then apply it while your truck is also in the shade. So I've just been rotating the vehicle to make sure whatever I'm working on is in a nice, cool, shaded area. So yeah, I'll try this rocker panel out and check in with you when I got one down. Do the same thing on the other side once I flip the truck around again. Just keep rotating through this. Then we have to do the bumpers, front and back. And then I'm going to have to get into the tonneau, into the vault to remove my tent in order to apply the side panel pieces for the vault. That might take a little more effort, and I'm not sure if I'll do that today. But I also have to put on the 3D looking carbon fiber trim pieces around my pillars. It also goes around the A-pillar, but we'll figure that out. I do have a cheap, I don't know if you can see how cheap, this was like less than $20 for all 4 pillars. Got bubbled. It was $20 worth, but I wanted something on my pillar before I went camping to protect it from debris. So I'll peel that off before I put SloMo's carbon fiber, and that'll hopefully kind of match my carbon fiber accents I've got going on. So yeah, 2 hours in for all 4 fenders with filming. We'll see how long the rocker panel takes starting now. See you in a bit. Alrighty, the rocker panels are finished. Actually, much easier than I first anticipated. It sort of just fell into place. Once you line it up on one side, it just falls all the way down in a straight line. You just got to keep it guiding. Little confused on these pieces. This happened on both sides. I think the owner mentioned something about the top panels are incorrect and they're being revised, something like that, but there's quite a bit of a gap on the rear. Wait, no, I'm on the front. On the front side, because on the back, I was able to basically butt these up, tuck it under, and it was a lot more flush. So I'm hoping that my memory serves me correct and that top pieces aren't perfect and they are going to send me new ones. And I hope that these are also included for covering the piece directly underneath the doors, since that would be exposed. It looks a little silly. So I will post an update in the description if that is true. But now I'm moving on to my pillars. I've started peeling off this cheap PPF I installed myself, and it's going to be replaced by this. This stuff looks really cool. Let's see if I have any sunlight. It really does look like a nice authentic carbon fiber, so I'll be applying this. I've got my soapy alcohol water mixture ready to go. This is a wet install, so let me figure this out and we'll see how it looks on the driver's side. See you in a bit. All right, I did all of the pillars around the door. Looks pretty good to me. I did notice these were incorrect on the diagram. I had to flip the sides. You would notice if you did it. But yeah, it was just a wet install. Spray the soapy isopropyl and water solution. Stick it on. You kind of have maybe 5 to 10 seconds to scooch it around, and then you squeegee out the remainder, and it kind of just sticks on in place. I did tell the company about, well, first of all, that was mirrored in the diagram. It should have been on the opposite side. But also these four, the direction of the carbon fiber goes from bottom left to top right. On this side, it's the opposite, and it shares the same direction. So I just told them, hey, it'd be nice if they all went the same direction. I'm a bit of a stickler for consistency. But yeah, it didn't take too long to do these. It wasn't too difficult. Just cleaning, preparing, stick it on, squeegee it out. Easy. I've been at this for, since 10:30, and now it's almost 3:30, so I've been at this for hours. And now I've got to do the rear bumper protection kit. There is a boatload of pieces to go underneath here. So I will do everything except the tops, since I have the Best EV Mod bumper protector on there. I hope that doesn't interfere with anything. And I need to take my bun flaps off for this one, so gonna check in a bit. I'm not sure when I'm gonna put all this stuff since I'm working below it, but I'll figure that out. See you soon. All right, we are on hour 6 of getting this stuff installed. Don't know if I just am a perfectionist and I'm taking way too long. But yeah, I still have the front bumper, but the rear bumper is finished. It doesn't cover everything. It does cover like this little insert area, but they don't cover the sides and they don't cover the underneath bits. It does cover both of the sides where the tow hitch would go. Again, I'm skipping the tops since I already have Best EV Mod. Oddly enough, they don't cover these. So I do have technically some extra bits since I'm not covering my tops. I don't know. I don't think I want to cover this, but it's an option if I want. Maybe I'll use those and cut some pieces myself. But yeah, rear bumper, not too difficult. The most complicated piece was this tow hitch, since it was a single piece and they kind of had a weird fold, but it was easy to figure out. So now I got to turn the truck around and finish off the front bumper, and I think I'll call it a day after that. See you soon. Alrighty, time for the front bumper. Putting that cyber cooler to work. This one's also, it's got a lot of pieces, but they are very thorough. I've got one cut out for the external speaker and this huge center front lip. I assume it will go through these sort of teeth by the ventilation grill and wrap underneath. So that'll be great to prevent some road rash from debris I run into on the freeway. I'll be excluding the front license plate. What is that? Part A, since I'm using my front license plate. I got a ticket at one point for not having a front license plate, and I'd rather not have to do that again. Looks mildly complicated. Looks like I just have to clean real good, especially underneath. So let me get started on that and finally get all of the external parts finished. So check in with you hopefully in no time. See you in a bit. All right, we are finished. I did not like this front bumper install. It was very difficult, especially this center one. It has very large notches, and I'm not sure why, but I tried my best, and I think it looks great. As for everything else, was easy compared to the front, but here's an all-around view of everything. Put the mud flaps back on, and I'll show you in a second. But I took out some notches from those mud flaps. Fits on there a little bit better. It's not in the way. Actually, probably took a little too much off on this one. But that's okay. I guess it does kind of suck since now my mud flaps aren't going to match the rest of the trim. But my God, I did not think it would take me 7.5 hours. It's basically my whole Saturday just sitting outside doing this. Hope it's worth the look. Alrighty, that's the final look. What do you guys think? Is it worth 7.5 hours of install time? I certainly hope so, but I guess you slap it on once, leave it on for 3 to 5 years, and never touch it again, hopefully, until you gotta, I don't know, apply it one more time. But that's the final look. I think it looks a bit more rugged. I kind of like it. Let me zoom in a bit. I put it back into low mode. Looks a little silly in extract. But yeah, it was about $1,000 worth of material on the exterior. I do still need to go through the vault, get the cyber tent out, and install the inner vault sidewalls. It's these big long triangles above the LEDs. it's gonna take me some time to get the vault out the tent out. I'm so tired right now. So I'll attempt the inner application another day. I think I need to get some food, some water. Literally been at this for 8 hours practically. So if you have any questions, let me know. Overall, the installation's not difficult. It's just tedious. Lots of prep, cleaning, pulling it this way, pulling it that way, trying to get everything to line up in place. At least for me, I need it to be as even as possible. So I'm sure if you weren't as OCD as I was, you could get this done in less time. But all right, I think that finishes it off for this install. I'm glad I didn't do a full tutorial step by step because that would have been a very long video. But yeah, thanks to SloMo. I'll leave a link in the description. They do have a bundle deal. You can get basically everything for, it's either 10, 15, or 20% off. I don't remember, but if you do want to get everything at once, it is cheaper to buy in bulk. So leave a like, subscribe, and as always, more good stuff coming real soon. See you later.